We're going to, it's 9:01, and we are going to call this meeting to order. And for those of you, just a few instructions. I know Tom had put some agendas out on the back, but if you have a smartphone and you want to follow along on the agenda, you can go to our website, and the agenda is on the website. This is the agenda that we're going to follow. First of all, I would like to introduce or have the commissioners introduce themselves and maybe explain if you have a function on the board. I'm Al Brown. I am the chairperson of the Tainter Lake Rehabilitation District.
I'm Chuck Tack, chairperson of Water Quality Committee, also on the Lead Committee and the Carp Committee.
Graham Peisig, I've served as treasurer, and I'm in charge of the fundraising and community connections subcommittee.
I'm Tom Bills. I'm the secretary, and I am the lead on the erosion and sedimentation project on the Lake District.
I'm Adam Mux, head of the Aquatic Vegetation Subcommittee.
Jackie Kunkel, newer members, still establishing my purpose.
Jim Zons, I'm chair of the Voting and Safety Standing Committee and also the Dunn County's representative on the Tainter Lake District.
Thank you. The purpose of the annual meeting, the Lake District has certain powers that are outlined in state statute, and one of those obligations is to conduct an annual meeting every year to approve basically the agenda or the budget. Because of Wisconsin law, we will not take action on any item that is not on the agenda, and the items that are on the agenda are the only items that we are going to take action on. The other thing is all residents of the Lake District have the ability to vote. You don't necessarily have to own land, but you have to live within the boundaries of the Lake District. The other thing, this meeting, every person on the property owner in the Lake District should have gotten a mailing. It was sent out, I think we sent out over 600 bifold booklet as to the budget, what we are asking for, and a brief description. It was also noticed twice in the district's legal or official newspaper, and that's the Colfax Messenger. Plus, I know it was put out on Facebook, and it was also, I think there was at least one email regarding that. So we did everything we could to make sure that everybody was notified of today's meeting. Now, just to explain what an annual meeting is, it's a little bit different than a board meeting. This is the meeting of the assembly, which is all of us. It's not a board meeting where we just get to vote. This is where everybody in the room, if you're a member of the Lake District, you get to vote. We will follow Robert's Rules of Order, and we have a parliamentarian. Attorney Jim Crave is our parliamentarian, so if we wander outside the rules of Robert's rules, he will guide us back into the proper procedure. When we take action on any of the items that are actionable items on the agenda, a commissioner will give a brief overview of the topic. Then we will ask for a motion, okay? And a second. Once we have a motion and a second, there will be discussion, and that's where you as a participant of this assembly can speak to an issue. The following rule we've learned over the past 2 annual meetings is that a person can speak to an issue once, and that there is a 3-minute time limit. So that moves the meeting along. So when you come up and speak, be succinct and to the point, please. The reason for it is I think the first annual meeting it was over 2.5 hours long, and we learned to make it so that it's a little more efficient. The other thing is, the reason why you're going to have a motion and a second before there's a discussion is because that moves that's according to Robert's rules, and that makes the meeting more efficient. The secretary is going to be responsible for counting votes. He may ask others to aid in that process. And by the way, just to explain voting, everybody received a card that was a member or resident of the Lake District. We count the cards that are held up, not the hands. So if somebody is attending that is not a resident or didn't registration, then you can't vote. So that just keeps everything moving along. All votes will be included in next year's meeting, and you realize that if we post the annual meeting minutes, they're unofficial until next year. So in a minute, we're going to be voting on minutes of last year's meeting. You approve the minutes of the meeting. The board doesn't approve those minutes. And voting for the commissioner, you all received a ballot for commissioner. We will be voting for the commissioner by ballot. The other thing is, on the reverse side of that is a QR code. If you, I put that on there. If you want to receive the newsletter, take a screenshot of that and sign up for the newsletter. We send out a newsletter about once every 4 to 6 weeks. And we also, if there's important events coming up, we can do an email broadcast. But you have to volunteer to have that. We're just not going to automatically sign that up. And according to law, if you want to unsubscribe, you just click unsubscribe and then you don't get that anymore. Okay, with that, I think bathrooms. You all know the bathrooms are, if you walk out the door, take a left, and you find the bathroom, and water fountains and things like that. So with that, we'll move to the reading of last year's minutes.
One thing I will add to Al's comments here, there is a sign-up sheet that's on the podium over here. So if you do come up to speak, please put your name and address information on that sheet. Thank you. Last year's minutes. Brown called the meeting to order at 10:11 a.m. All commissioners were present. Brown thanked everyone for attending the meeting and explained the ground rules of the meeting. Brown introduced the commissioners. 5 commissioners are elected and 2 are appointed. 1 commissioner is appointed by Dunn County and the other by Tainter Township. We approved the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting. Bills read the 2023 annual meeting minutes. Porter made a motion, seconded by Tack. Motion carried by voice vote without objection. Chairperson and committee reports. Brown introduced our committees and reported on the actions taken. Treasurer's report. Pysick reported a balance of $9,903.48 in checking and $1,131.81 in our savings. Bills made a motion, seconded by Porter, to accept the treasurer's report as read. Motion carried by voice vote without objection. Audit of the 2023-2024 revenues and expenditures. Pysick explained our auditing process of our financial records. Porter made a motion, seconded by Tack, to approve the treasurer's audit. Motion carried by voice vote without objection. Consider approval of bylaw revisions. Porter explained the revisions to our bylaws. Zahn's made a motion, seconded by Heimdall, to approve the bylaw revisions. Motion carried by voice vote without objection. Consideration of projects. No-wake buoys and maintenance. Zahn's explained the approach used by the ad hoc committee to the slow no-wake zone ordinance with regards to cost, buoy location, maintenance, and taking over the ordinance from Tainter Township. Tim Mave's motion, second by Ron Bennett, to approve the slow no-wake zone ordinance. Motion carried 134 yes, 24 no. Carp removal and fish stocking. Bills reviewed the water clarity project involving fish removal and fish stocking. Zahn's made a motion, second by Tack, to approve the water clarity project. Motion by Dick Lamers, second by Joanne Bromley, to remove the carp hunt portion of this project. Amendment to carp hunt fails in a vote of 38 for and 95 opposed. Motion by Joanna Keller, second by Charlie Arneson, to separate the two projects into two items. Motion fails 52 for and 90 opposed. Original motion of the water clarity project carries 122 to 17. Aquatic vegetation harvesting. TAC reviewed the vegetation project, explaining several photos of excessive invasive vegetation. Heimdall motion, second by Pysick, to approve the motion, approve the project. Motion carried 118 to 8. Review and consider approval for the $60,734 proposed budget and tax levy. A, establish a non-lapsable fund. Motion by Tom Johnson, second by Jan Coppernall, to approve the non-lapsable fund. Motion carries without objection. Proposed published budget. Julie Lammer motion, second by Marty Baumgartner, to approve proposed budget. Motion carried by vote of 87 to 2. Election of commissioners. Motion by Ron Bennett, second by Joe Taft, to approve Adam Muck, 90 votes, to the open commissioner position over Tim Maves, 42 votes. Motion carried by voice vote without objection. 2025 annual meeting date is August 2nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. Adjourn meeting. We adjourned at 12:40. Those are the minutes from last year's annual meeting.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Names, please.
Tom Tilton.
And the motion was made by who?
Sue Traxler.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or correction?
Correct the last thing about the time for the annual meeting being 9 instead of 10.
Okay. Well,
Well, it was the motion to approve it, yes.
Was the motion to approve as read?
With the correction of the annual meeting date.
Okay, with the correction of the annual meeting date. Time.
Is there still a second to that motion?
Is there still a second? Sir, did you want to second that? You're still seconding that motion, right? Yes. Okay, we can, is there any discussion? Okay, last year we did it as a voice vote. Are you guys good with that?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay, Chairperson's report. We're going to go through this just to make sure that everybody kind of knows what we did all year. As far as the Chairperson's position, we completed a 5-year strategic plan that we had through a grant with the Wisconsin DNR. Part of that strategic plan was we broke our work into 5 standing committees: water quality, aquatic vegetation, sedimentation, boating and safety, and fundraising and community engagement. And this is how our organization is run through those subcommittees, and those subcommittees are made up of a board member chairs the committee, and for the most part, it's citizens that sit on those boards, on those committees. And they're very active, and they've been doing quite a bit of work. So that's a good thing. The other thing is, part of the strategic plan is to develop an email distribution list and newsletter. I think we've sent out 3 or 4 newsletters so far this year. There's been some email communications. Like I said before, if you want to sign up for that, just go to that QR code or go to our website. The other thing that we continue to do is we continue to develop community partnerships, and we are involved in statewide organizations. We've been speaking and working with different community sportsmen's groups and other civic organizations. The one big group that we work with is the Red Cedar Water Quality Partnership, that is made up of various groups up from Sawyer County all the way down to the dam at Monoman Lake. DNR sits on with that group. We have DNR officials. We have farmer-led organizations. We have there's Stripes. There's all kinds of people. Different lake associations and lake groups also serve on that group. So it's a wide and diverse organization. We meet every other month, and we share problems and solutions. And so we're continuing to work with other various groups.
My name is Chuck Hack again, and our Water Quality Committee met first on December 2nd, 2024. Members are Kevin McGrath, Paul Colby, Rob Jensen, and Mike Shade, and myself. We held recently 2 town hall meetings at Tainter Town Hall on July 14th and July 19th. Total attendance 48 guests. Our goal was to further educate lake residents and seek their input through the use of questions and comments. Carp bounty last weekend in May and first weekend in June. We had 38 boats registered. We shot 179 carp with bow. And the key there is to take out the female carp, who can have anywhere from 250,000 eggs to 1 million eggs. Granted, all those don't survive, but the more females we can shoot, the better off we'll be. The key to the whole carp tournament is to try to hit the spawn when they're on the surface or in very shallow water, and we didn't do that this year. The spawn started on late Sunday afternoon, and the first weekend we only had 2 boats out. Went through Monday and part of Tuesday, and that's typical, about 48 hours. And that's our goal for next year, to figure out a system to have the boats in when the spawn is taking place so we can shoot a lot more carp. Fish stocking, we're going to have approximately 437 10-inch muskies to be planted in Tainter Lake in late October, early November of this year. Tom Bills on our board secured a $4,000 grant from the Chippewa Falls chapter of Muskies Incorporated to help pay for the muskies. Oh, I forgot to thank the volunteers for the Carp Bounty program. We had 15 volunteers, including 3 board members. I want to thank Elk Point for letting us use the registration station 2 for the Carp Bounty program. We added a second water quality testing site at Lower Tainter. We have tested on Upper and Lower Tainter at the end of June and end of July, and we'll do it at the end of August. We're testing for chlorophyll A, the greening of the lake, green water, testing for phosphorus, and something new this year, nitrogen and nitrates. Preliminary results for June just came in yesterday. Both Upper Tainter and Lower Tainter, chlorophyll A, the greening of the lake, pretty good figures. As far as phosphorus, not so good. Pretty high figures, even at the end of June, for phosphorus in the lake. We're working on developing a relationship with UW Stout Limnology, and that's just a big word for that department at Stout, is in charge of lake and river science and research. We met with Andrew and Connor from Limnology, first meeting in April, and Andrew came and talked to the board on June 19th. We're looking to build upon a relationship with Stout for future research and programming. I've attended a couple of farmer-led co-op meetings, one in March and one this week. One of our committee goals for 2026 is to attend more of these meetings, and we support the use of cover crops, pasture rotational grazing, and no-till, low-till farming practices. Thank you.
My name is Adam Mucks, head of the Aquatic Vegetation Committee. Most of you probably saw we had a harvesting project begin on Tainter July 7th. We did have some alterations from the DNR in May where they shifted our harvesting back a few weeks. It was initially supposed to be June 23rd and then the third week of July, I believe. Aquatic Plant Management will be back out on August 11th, which is a week from Monday, for the second harvesting session. DNR also cut the harvesting area by 50% in June. They went out on June 24th and kind of gave us permission to harvest what they saw at that point. I've been working with them to kind of explain that we've had more expansive vegetation since June 24th, and it sounds like if this is approved for next year, we'll have earlier harvesting taking place. We also held a meeting with XL Energy, researching the possibility of like a winter drawdown for freezing out some vegetation, compacting sediment, maybe creating navigational channels, reducing shoreline erosion. It's a pretty common thing we're seeing with impoundments that they're doing for lake management. And you know, the big trouble with XL is it's a hydro dam. It's licensed by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. That license doesn't expire until 2035. However, just in a year or two, they're going to start working on kind of redrafting the license and doing some lake studies. And that's kind of where we're at with XL, but it was a very informative meeting. So that's about all I have for vegetation at this point.
Again, I'm Grant Peisig, Treasurer and Chairperson of the Fundraising and Community Connections Subcommittee. This year, we were able to step up our private fundraising game pretty good. Tom read it off in the minutes last year. We had $1,000 in the savings account, which is our dollars that are privately fundraised. Now we have over $15,000 in there. And so thank you to everybody here that's donated throughout this year. Kind of started off in April. We had an event at Jake's that I set up and then couldn't make because of work. So thanks for everybody that showed up and helped to run that. And yeah, we set up different accounts so you can donate towards specific projects that you may be passionate about. We do have a general fund, but then there are categories for water clarity, sedimentation, weed harvesting, boating and safety, and so pretty much anything that might be really specific to you that you really care about, you can earmark your dollars that you donate. We'll put it in that account, and then it only gets spent on something related to that. So basically, the next step that we have planned is we're having a fundraiser on September 20th, Saturday, September 20th at Elk Point. I have a whole bunch of raffle tickets back here that we're going to try to sell for that. So some of you bought them coming in. I appreciate that. And if anybody's willing to want to, grab a book of tickets after the meeting, you can certainly buy them now. Or if you're willing to grab a couple and try to go sell them to some neighbors or some non-lake residents, that would be great. Yeah, other than that, the other thing we were able to do is we were able to create a QR code and a donations page on our website. So as we keep moving forward here, you'll see that popping up more around the place where people will be able to just pull up their phone, scan the QR code, it takes them right to a place where they can donate directly to the Lake District there. So I guess my thought on it is that it's important that we pass the budget every year and have a tax levy, but if we want to try to move things along faster or get a little more aggressive in how we go after the problems that Tainter Lake has, we need to be well funded, and part of that funding can come from the private fundraising side of it. So that's all I have.
I'm Jim Zons, again, Chair of the Voting and Safety Committee. That was created in the past year after we passed the doing the slow no wake ordinance and getting the budget to pursue that. So over the past year, a big part of what we did was the process of we didn't just take over the ordinance from the town of Tainter. We actually had to have them repeal their ordinance, and also had to have the town of Menominee repeal it as well, and then grant us the authority to create the ordinance. Then that had to go through a public meeting period, which many of you attended, before the DNR would grant the Lake District the ability to have an ordinance, and also then we had to go through waterway permit application process to actually place the buoys where you see them now. So some changes to where the town of Tainter marked it. Everything was marked with a single buoy. Now we have double buoys at the entrances and exits of the portions of the slow no wake zones on the channel area between upper and lower Tainter. Our committee meets typically the first Wednesday of every month, usually at Jake's at 5 p.m. So if you want to join us, our next committee meeting is actually coming this Wednesday at 5 p.m. at Jake's. We're currently discussing the possibility of changing the slow no wake zones to expand potentially expand the area between upper and lower Tainter on the channel, and including what we call the bubble area, where there is a small short area without a controlled zone. We're kind of awaiting some word on the Department of Natural Resources on some possibilities for that, but if you have opinions and want to share them with us, you can join us at our meetings, and it's a chance for you to voice opinion, and either for that or against it. So also we've had a representative from the Dunn County Sheriff's Department that has been either attending or providing an update every month on enforcement actions on the lake and when they're able to get out. They are currently, there's still some, I believe there's still an opportunity for Dunn County to approve a budgeting for a full-time recreational officer. If you feel that enforcement is important, and especially on the lake, contact your county representative to ask them to support that funding in their budget. And that's all I have from my committee.
Now you got Tom.
Thank you, Jim. Once again, my name is Tom Bills, and I am the Tainter Township representative to the Lake District. I have been involved with Chuck Tack working on our carp population, and pardon me? I'm supposed to be on sedimentation. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Okay.
I'll get there. Okay. Well, all right, I'm sorry. I've been working on an issue of sedimentation and erosion on the Red Cedar River, upriver from where the Red Cedar and Tainter meet, otherwise known, I suppose, as a delta. And I've been working with Dunn County, Land and Water, the DNR, and even for a while NRCS, and the property owner to develop a plan for this erosion site. This is a very, very large project, and it will not be completed quickly, so I'm going to ask for patience. We had hoped to start engineering on it this year. It looks like it's going to be pushed back until next year because of payment arrangements for the engineering portion of the project. As soon as the engineering project is done, we will have a better idea of costs for the project, and then we will start working with the county, with the DNR, et cetera, again, to write as many grant opportunities as we can for this project. To give you an idea, this project is about 1,300 feet long. The sandbanks are about 30 to 40 feet high, and it's depositing about 9,000 cubic yards of sand into the Red Cedar and ultimately Tainter every year. To give you an idea, that would be like 600 of the county's big dump trucks of sand every year. So that's why it's so important that we make sure that this gets done right the first time. Right? So that's that project. Am I on for the next one now?
Not yet.
I'm all at. There we go.
Okay, a couple of things that I'd just like to highlight. First of all, fundraising. As we fundraise, the board's made the decision that those fundraising dollars go towards long-term projects. because they're big, big dollars. And so what we're trying to do is over time build, that's why there's different pots of money that you can donate towards. Some of them obviously are bigger than others. And I just wanted to make that note. The other thing is, you can see that most of the work takes place at the committee level and at the board level. We encourage you to get involved and come to those meetings. Your input, I don't care if it's positive or negative, your input is important to us. And so at every meeting, you have an opportunity to talk. Sometimes they get a little long. We try to keep them to an hour and a half, but I would encourage you to come to the meetings and be aware of what's taking place. The next part on the agenda is the treasurer's report and revenues and expenditures. Grant?
Yeah, we use an income statement to track all the revenues and expenses that come in and out of our checking and savings account throughout the year. So those are updated and reported for every monthly meeting that we have. This year, like I said before, we did a lot better job on the private fundraising side. Kind of got some momentum going there. As far as what was in the tax levy, it's been pretty straightforward. We receive our final payment from every township. That check gets cut in August, so sometimes it's September before they get deposited. So that's all right on track. As far as expenses go, we've done a really good job of staying within our budgeted amounts. If anything, we come in under on just about every category by a little bit. So I think it speaks a little bit to this group's fiscal responsibility, I guess you would say. So as I've been treasurer, I've always wanted to, I think transparency is really important for this group. And so if you ever have any questions on what was this or what was that or how is money being spent, I'm definitely open to trying to answer any of those that I can. Just send me an email and I can try to explain it to you that way, or if we even need to get on the phone or get together to go through something, I'm happy to do that, because I think it's really important that people understand where the money goes and what it's for. As of today, we have $45,454.85 in our checking account and $15,449.47 in our savings account. And that is good that we have that much in the checking account, because we have some bills coming due this fall. We're going to have to pay for our weed harvesting, we're going to have to pay for the fish stocking. So we did an audit. When was that? That was in June, I'm thinking. July. And basically what we did is Al, Tom, Jackie, and I met at the public library. They looked at the income statement, basically started with the biggest expense and worked their way down. And when they picked it, when they picked that one, I had to produce the invoice for it and the documentation from our bank statement that the money moved out of the account. Everything was good there. The one improvement we talked about and we were going to make is, and I have to blame myself for this, when I first started as treasurer, I thought it'd be a good idea to have our fiscal year run from August to July, so we could show up to this annual meeting and it would be a full year of information for everyone. The problem with doing that is, like they say, we have a lot of seasonal work that's done in the summer, so a lot of those bills are going to come due in August and September and October. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to just having our fiscal year be January 1 through December 31st. That way, all of our tax levy payments for the year will be in the right fiscal year. All the projects that we're paying for will be in the right fiscal year. What happens now is, or the way we did it, the payments that you get from the townships end up in August, they end up in the wrong fiscal year, and then, paying for this seasonal work ends up in the wrong fiscal year. At the end of the day, it doesn't change how much money the organization has or doesn't have, but I think it'll be much easier to understand. So we'll basically run this out now to the end of December, and then January 1st, we'll start a new fiscal year at the new calendar year. Yeah, that should sum it up pretty good. We'll keep the meeting moving. Audit? I did talk about it.
Yeah, the other thing is we're going to have a professional audit this year also. The last 2 years, we've done our audit by committee. And next year, we are going to have an audit by a professional CPA. Okay? All right, that is the treasurer's report. Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Jim Zahn, second.
Cheryl Thompson.
Cheryl Thompson, second.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Is there a discussion?
Yes.
Just a minute. You gotta have this.
Isn't there a mic up there?
I went and got it.
Hey, my name is Kurt Zerline, E6, 357 County Road D. On August 23rd, or in August of 2023, by a vote of 147 to 3, for those of you that are mathematicians, that's almost everybody, approved the bylaws. And in Article 7 of the bylaws, under auditing, it says that the chairman shall appoint an independent and qualified auditor to examine all financial records of the district and report its condition to the annual meeting. So last year and this year, we should have had an auditor audit our budget and report to this body. And the bylaws also state that the budget should be audited at the end of the fiscal year and prior to the annual meeting, and those results be presented to this committee. So my question is, Al, because you're the chairperson and you're the one that is directed to appoint that auditor, why has this not been done?
It was a cost savings. We didn't have the money.
The word shall,
It wasn't it. And by the statute, you can appoint the committee to do the audit also.
negative. When used in laws, regulations, or directives to express what is mandatory. So the word shall in the bylaws is mandatory. So the statute, you can't make a statute less than, okay? But you've stated in the bylaws, which we approved, what shall be done. You can't go away from that because we as the electors have directed you to do this. So whether it's monetary or not is irrelevant because we have told you what we want you to do. And you said, no, we're not going to do that.
We're doing that now.
Well, thank you for doing what we've asked you to 2 years later. Secondly, this non-lapsable fund. Grant, you remember last year we had a conversation regarding that? And I asked you what the purpose of the non-lapsable fund was. And you told me, well, in the event that the chopper bill comes due, and we haven't gotten a second installment of the tax bill from the county, right? You remember that?
Yep.
And then I told you, well, if we knew anything about contracting, we could have a 30, net 30 or net 60, right? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
the conversation
okay.
well.
And then you told me, well, we can do it because in the statute, you need to read the statute. Guess what I did? I read the statute.
And loosely interpreted it, I'm sure, so I'm excited.
Not loosely, I've got it right here. It's very black and white, very specific. Do we have any capital assets?
No.
No. And is the budget broken down into operating funds and capital funds?
Yes.
And we have no capital funds, correct? No. And you told us at the last year's
We have
meeting,
capital funds. How are you defining capital funds?
capital funds is anything they're dealing with capital assets. We have no capital assets, we have no capital funds. Okay, so last year you told us you could establish this fund without letting us know. Not true. During the annual meeting, electors can create a non-lapsable fund to finance specifically identified capital costs and for maintenance of capital equipment. That's what the non-collapsible fund is for. Non-lapsable fund is for.
So read that again.
To finance specifically identified capital costs and for maintenance of capital equipment. We have no capital costs and we have no capital equipment.
Not yet, but you can set up a
You-
savings.
okay,
account to build
no,
it.
no, 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 no.
Okay, we're gonna
We have no need for a non-lapsable fund. That's what I'm saying.
make your point, Kurt.
My point is, the non-lapsable fund should be removed from the budget until which time we have a capital cost or a capital fund.
There is not a non-lapsable fund. Okay, there is not a non-lapsable fund in the budget. Everything that will be voted on today has a cost associated with it, okay? That is an estimate, because as most of you know, any project you've ever done in your life, you might think it's gonna cost you $10,000, but it might cost you 5, it might cost you 7, and it might cost you 12 by the time it's actually done, okay? So what the non-lapsable fund is it's essentially money that was underspent by our board. It's some leftover from the previous year's budget that didn't get spent. So it stays in the savings account or the checking account. If it was tax levy dollars, it stays in the checking account. And it's a little bit of padding for extra cash flow. Now, to be fair, the thing that can be done or could be voted on is you can take what was underspent in the budget. We could vote to refund $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to the taxpayers across the board. So it probably would be about $2 that you'd be getting back. And we can do it that way. And we can run super tight on cash, and everything can be a big pain in the butt. For any of you that have ever run a business, when you're tight on cash flow, it's really, really hard to do anything. Now, we have picked up our private fundraising, which does help. That in a way is becoming that padding that we need.
All I'm asking is that you label it as something else to be correct.
Okay, we'll call it carryover dollars.
Where's that? That's it.
That's it, to be correct.
Okay.
Because right now you're in violation of the statute. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we stand corrected. We're having an audit done this year. And any other comments? Okay, just by the way, the statute does allow us to have, do our own audit by committee, just so that you know. Yes, it
The
does.
statute does, but why is it in the bylaws? Take it out of the bylaws if you don't want to do it.
We can correct the bylaws. It doesn't need to be corrected now because we've corrected it ourselves.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the treasurer's report. Again, last year we did this by voice. Did you want, let's do a hand vote for this one, seeing that we've had discussion. All of those in favor of the motion to approve the audit report signify by saying aye or raising their cards.
two. I count at the table.
Huh?
I count at the table.
Right. We got everybody? Opposed?
25.
15. We have 85 in favor.
Hold them up so that we can count them. Okay, you got them, Chuck? Okay, we have 85 in favor, 2 opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Election of commissioner. We moved this around a little bit because what happened is the last couple of years, if this meeting goes long, nobody stays around to vote for the commission. So we moved it up. So it should be fairly quick. We can, if you fill out your ballots, pass them to the center of the aisle. But wait, before you do that, is there any nominations from the floor? It's kind of an interesting thing on voting for commissioner. We have a procedure to run for the board, but we also take nominations from the floor at this assembly. So if there is anybody that would like to be nominated as a write-in candidate, now is your chance to say so. Shane, you have to live on the lake. You have to be living in the district to be this position. Do I have them? If I see nobody else, do I have a motion to close nominations? Okay. Name? Okay, there's a motion. Mark Kenny seconds the motion to close nominations. We'll go voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Vote, please. Now you can vote if you had. And then pass them to the aisle and Tom will collect them. And just so that you know, this is for a 3-year term or sentence, depending on how you look at it. Some days it's a term, some days it's a sentence. I think to speed things up a little bit, would you be opposed to, as Tom's collecting all of these, that we get into the projects to move things along? Does anybody have heartburn with that? Okay, I'm going to start it out. Our first project is the mechanical harvesting. Again, what we're going to do with these projects, you vote on these projects, and we're going to give a short presentation about what you're voting for, and then we will hold the vote. Okay, is that clear? Okay, you're up, Adam. And you let me know when you want me to shift through your pictures.
Okay, so the first project we're proposing is the aquatic vegetation harvesting project, very similar to this year. This is them working in July, offloading vegetation at Elk Point. You can keep moving through. Basically, the harvester is creating navigational channels. A lot of the work was north of the High Bridge in the Hay River Bay this year. If you've been up there, it's pretty extensive, the vegetation. So they've created some navigational channels for riparians to get boat access. The left photo here is the western Hay River Bay, and the right photo is the eastern Hay River Bay. The other photo is the north shore, the eastern main portion. And oh, sorry.
You gotta let me know.
Yeah, so this is harvesting in western Hay River Bay. You can flip through. Again, this is in the Hay River Bay, western portion on the left, and eastern portion on the right. Kind of the channels they're creating. Keep going. This is the northern shore of eastern Tainter, where the red cedar comes in, and the southern shore was also harvested. And on that shore, there's kind of a change in current from removing the vegetation, so it's kind of kept things cleared out a little nicer this year. So, this photo is last year, August 5th, 2 days after our annual meeting. Some of you guys know that, like, if we get these big winds, it'll just uproot all the vegetation. So I don't know if that'll happen by August 11th or not, but if we have these floating mats, we can pick that stuff up as well. So, and then just kind of a final slide summarizing our vegetation. There's a lot of curly leaf pondweed, elodea, coontail, hampering navigation, displacing water, enhancing algae blooms, especially these surface mats that we're seeing, that we've seen blue on top of. So any of this vegetation we can get out is going to reduce some sedimentation and nutrient load. And so basically, we're recommending mechanical harvest and disposal of curly leaf pondweed and other spreading weeds in Tainter Lake. This process is directed by the DNR and permitted by the DNR. And this would happen in the summer of 2026. And the same budget request as last year of $39,000.
Thank you, Adam. That's the project. It's the same project last year or next year as it is this year, with X amount of days for harvesting. The other thing that's going to take place in between here, the reason why we can't really do a lot of harvesting this year too is because we're on an experimental basis with the Wisconsin DNR. We don't have an aquatic vegetation management plan, which we're going to be writing this winter. And so when we write that plan, we hope to expand some of those areas. I know there were people that were concerned that they have vegetation and we didn't get to them. And an example of that is down by, I live on the south end of the lake and around Ray Whitkey's Island. We originally wanted to go all the way around the island to increase the flow, and the DNR said, no, you can only go up to the residents and create those channels. So we hope to expand some of that next year.
And
So
we've already got confirmation that they're going to let us go earlier next year. I got that this week with this passes.
so we can get added before it gets all matted down. So here's where you get to vote on the project. Is there a motion to approve this project? Okay. There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, there's a second. Sir, what's your name?
Nick Maynard.
Oh, Nick. Okay. Discussion. Okay. You-
Yeah, we've confirmed pricing with the current company we're contracting is going to be the same next year.
Carp again, E6357, County Road D. The picture that you showed up there, I live on the eastern shore of the Hay River Bay. they made one pass. The dock that was there, that was my dock. It's a 20-foot swath. I have a 20-foot boat. Can't get my boat out. Haven't been able to get my boat out all summer. They spent 2 days on the western shore. I don't know what it looks like over there, but they spent 2 days over there. So last year, a gal got up and asked for cut plan pictures of where you plan on cutting. This year it would have been nice to see an overlay of the map. So you could show us where the potential cut plan was, maybe what the DNR approved, what they didn't approve, where you plan on cutting, how much time you plan on spending there, how much you plan on cutting. You're asking us again to approve a budget of $39,000 to cut weeds, and we have no idea where you're cutting. Be helpful to the electors to know what you're going to do and where you're going to cut. I mean, you go to a bank to get a loan to build a house. Well, I'm going to build a house, and well, where are you going to build? What do you what does it look like? You're not giving us anything other than a number, $39,000. But we don't know what you're going to do with it or where you're going to do it. That'd be helpful.
We have the ability to do that. The DNR site has every harvesting permit listed, so you can just search Aquatic.
But you've got everybody here. You're asking each individual to go to a site. You've got the ability to put it on a screen right here and show everybody.
Kurt, we'll do that next year.
Thank you.
Chad Bartlett, E6429, 836th Avenue. So if the DNR reduced the cutting by 50% this year, does that mean our cost is reduced by 50%, so we have funds available to throw that at it next year?
It didn't cut the timeline because the harvesting started later, the vegetation was thicker. And yeah, so I mean, they worked 56 hours in July.
And that brings in a good roll into my next question is, there's not a very good efficiency use of that harvester. They should probably have 2, 3, 4 barges going back from the harvester to the landing instead of a little putt-putt going around the corner, unloading into a dump wagon. I would think there could be. And if the curly leaf pondweed is so aggressive, why are we not pulling instead of just cutting?
DNR restrictions. And then as far as the company we're working with, they are potentially looking at a transport barge. And they put loaders on the harvester that weren't in use. They had some issues with that to speed it up. It's the first inland harvester. It's the first time we put motors on it. So I do understand the issue with efficiency. We're pretty grateful for Elk Point for their ramp use as well, because it's obviously the closest to most of these areas.
Adam, maybe you could talk a little bit about our original week, Chad, on June 23rd was to cut the curly leaf pondweed before the turions, the seeds got distributed. Well, when the DNR took that weed out, that ended that. Okay?
Here, you want the mic?
I was trying to answer Chad's question about the seeds and everything, pulling it out. And curly leaf pondweed, the seeds are called turions. They're a little black and you can hardly see them with your eye. We had calculated that if we could harvest the week of June 23rd, we could get a lot of those turion seeds into the harvester and not spread through the lake. But when the DNR canceled that week, we were not able to get those turion seeds out. So this is just my opinion of it. I think it's going to be, pretty bad next year. And I don't blame anybody, but, I'm going to point my finger at the DNR on this one. They should have let us go through and harvest the week of the 23rd. Again, my opinion.
So we have a 50% reduction that we can harvest, but yet it costs more money, so we should go back to the contractor and say, look, we need to find some more efficiency on this. You can't run the putt-putt back and forth. I mean, it's very simple to get some flatbed barges, I would think, in a conveyor and motor, and do something better on a dump trailer. It just looked kind of Mickey Mouse a little bit. Also provided a lot of entertainment on Facebook going on. It was pretty exciting. I had relatives that were like, I got signed up for Tainter Lake Forest activities because this is fantastic what's going on. I mean, I almost went viral, but we should try to, I guess, get on board better with that contractor and the DNR. The Carp bounty, why does it have to be certain weekends? Why can't it just start when ice comes out and just let her roll and say, we're gonna spend $3,000 and let's just make it happen, or whatever it is.
One item.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chad, you can see me after the meeting. I could try to answer that as far as
Because it's just a spawning thing, I suppose, but one item at a time, I guess.
see me after the meeting.
And if anyone wants to see the permanent harvesting areas after the
I
meeting.
can't understand most of these people are talking, especially when they're not using microphones. Please
Okay.
use the mics.
Got it.
Tim Mayers. It's obvious that the weeds aren't going anywhere. Have we looked into purchasing our own weed harvesting equipment at all?
Yeah, we did pretty extensively before last year, and I was actually just got bids yesterday from Inland Harvester, which is a Wisconsin company. The big challenge with owning the equipment is going to be staffing it. There is some good grants to purchase a harvester, and I think we're kind of in this renting before we buy mode build out, and with both primary manufacturers in Wisconsin is a year as well. But, yeah,
Have you come up with any kind of a cost for a machine?
like the operation that those guys brought is about 350 to 400,000 between a truck, conveyor, trailer, and the harvester. That model harvester is between 200 and 250,000. Rice Lake spent 300,000 on theirs. They got a bigger one, honestly. If we purchased, I would think we should go bigger.
Okay. Yeah, I was just, when I sit here and I see 39,000 year after year in my mind because the weeds aren't going anywhere, I just wanted to know the comparison between doing what we're doing at 39,000, which could increase, versus owning our own.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and just some other, I obviously want to see kind of how this goes, and then, with that networking with Excel, there's a lot of variables, so, but we are looking into that, but staffing the harvester is probably going to be the biggest challenge that we're seeing with other districts.
Any other discussion?
Nick Maynard, East 65, 25, 836th Avenue. I just want to go on the point of arguing for the weed harvester and everything like that, what Adam's talked about, Chuck and them do a lot of work. Now imagine these harvesters, you hear $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 for them, but most of the time when me and my friend Joe see them online, they literally are still selling them for anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. They're like 35 years old. So if this was an investment that we did, we would probably have it for more about the time I'm dead. So this is something we could have for a very long time, and then there'd have to be a volunteer base to do something that would like a weed harvest. If you think that it's not going to be a good thing, think of all the things that the weeds do. They trap all the sediment that come in, they trap all the duckweed that come in, and all the algae gets hung up on that. If we don't have this in our lake, that stuff can flow away and get out of there. I'm not saying it's going to solve it all. I know it all comes down from the check chain and everything like that. But what I'm saying is it gets trapped on all of our properties and everything like that. So that's why I would argue for it. Hopefully you do vote for it, because I think over time, if we have our own harvester, that means we can literally weed harvest nonstop, just like Rice Lake does. Right now, they give us a plan. They only give us a certain amount of acres. They shut us down after that. That's why they couldn't do as much this year, because the DNR shut us down. So I'm in total favor for it. I hope you vote for it because I think it will do good things for the lake. In the whole argument, like you take weeds away because there's fish, there's lakes without weeds, so fish live there too.
Mark Anderson, live at E5858 803rd Avenue. I think the weed harvester, I think if we do this, I think we should purchase it because we can't just go out there and harvest weeds with volunteers every night that we want. The DNR has to approve this because I believe that's why it got shut down this year is because of the spawn, right? So we have to get these permits to be able to do it. So if we own the harvester, we can't just go out there every night and harvest weeds. It's going to be up to the DNR when we're going to be able to do it. But the exception, if we have it, we have the ability, we don't have to rely on somebody else that's busy. We can do it. Say, if we get that permit that week, we can do it. We don't have to wait a month for the seeds to pollinate and everything else. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to vote. All those, and the motion has been to approve the $39,000 for weed harvesting for 2026. All of those in favor signify by saying aye, or raise your hand. Count. Just while they're doing that, an editorial comment on my part. I think the reason why we haven't gotten a weed harvester at this point is because we just didn't want to invest the money in something that we're new at this game, and we wanted to ease into purchasing a large piece of equipment. And then, because remember, not only do you have to buy the harvester, you have to buy a trailer unless you use somebody else's trailer. And then we got to figure out where we're going to store it, and then we got to maintain it. So, I mean, there's some other costs there. We've just been cautious about jumping into that. But we certainly will take your advice into consideration. Opposed?
No one's opposed.
So the final vote was? Down.
80-0.
84, 0 against. Thank you.
I think there was one against. There was one against.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I didn't see that person, but okay. Okay. Carp, abatement and fish stocking. Tom, you're up.
All right. Carp abatement is,
Hold the mic closer.
thank you. I'll get my notes up here. The first thing we did, and Chuck talked about it earlier, he did a great job, organizing our carp bounty. We will continue that project this year. The thing we will do is expand it to 9 days. It'll cover 2 weekends and the entire week. And we will do things probably like post water temperatures, because that is a big part of when the carp actually spawn. And we will have some way to allow people to check in during the week when there isn't a volunteer present. So we're going to try to expand it to get more carp out of the lake. The budget for this part of the plan is $5,000. We want to do everything we can to attract boats, both locally and further away. This year, most of our boats came from Eau Claire and central Wisconsin and as far away as Des Moines. We want to get more boats from around here. The good news is that last summer, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, we kept track of where the fish were harvested. So next year, when these boats come from far away and ask, okay, where are the fish? We can point where people were successful last year. And that should help greatly with the harvest. Anything you want to add to that part, Chuck?
I'm having a senior moment here. I'm going to pass it back. I lost it.
That's all right. All right, the next thing with the carp abatement is to add a predator fish. It was mentioned that we will be stocking muskie this fall. Muskie is the predator fish that the DNR has strongly suggested over others because we have healthy populations of other predator fish. And if you stock, for instance, more walleye, there's a chance that the current walleye population will stop breeding. Muskies are native to Tainter, and it is one breed of fish that is underperforming a little bit when it comes to multiplying. So we will continue that for next year with approval of this project. Our current muskie stocking will take place the end of October, beginning of November, and as Chuck said, we will be getting about 10-inch fingerlings. The good news about muskie is you can't harvest them for 5 or 6 years until they get to about 40 inches. So they're going to be in there for a while. We will lose some when they are stocked, but the DNR suggests that they will continue to do pretty well with increased numbers in the lake. There was some concern from people that they would eat our walleye, and muskie are not inclined to eat walleyes. Chuck did some studies on this, and walleyes aren't their favorite food. So there's not much fear for that. The reason for the predator fish for the carp bounty is fairly simple. When you talk about water cleanup, whether it be a river or a lake, one of the things that's almost always talked about is getting rid of the carp. Carp are very destructive in the lake. They destroy fish habitat. They get down into the vegetation and they destroy it. They dig through the sand and take out the vegetation. They also stir up the phosphorus. When phosphorus comes down the rivers and lands in Lake Tainter, once it settles to the bottom, it's okay there. But if the carp get into the phosphorus and start digging it up, it goes back up into the water, and that's where we continually run into problems. The last thing that carp do is eat zooplankton. And zooplankton actually eat cyanobacteria. So there's real good reason to put the time and effort into getting rid of carp, as many as we can. This is going to be implemented again next spring and then again in the fall of 2026. I would definitely encourage you to approve the budget for this project, for these projects.
Tom, can I just say one thing? Tom covered my senior moment there. I was going to talk about the carp and the phosphorus and the zooplankton, and he got it. But if anybody wants to see where I pulled up the fact that, quote, studies show that game fish like walleye make up a small percent of muskie's diet, I've got it here. You can look at it. And the other thing is, this is a Michigan State University study that bluegills are not the primary preference for muskies in Wisconsin. They do not eat enough of them to significantly impact their populations. And here's why. Body shape and spiny fins. Muskies generally prefer prey that are easier to swallow, such as longer torpedo-shaped fish with soft fins, like suckers. According to the Michigan State study, bluegills with their deep bodies and spiny fins are more difficult to manipulate and consume for muskies.
Okay. Tom, you good?
Yep, I'm all good.
Okay, that's the presentation. That's the presentation. Is there a vote or a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion to approve the expenditure for the abatement and stocking. Is there a second? Name, please. Oh, Baumgartner is a second. Discussion. Going once. Twice. Okay, we will vote. All those in favor to approve the motion signify by holding up your cards. Did anybody get the center?
I have something.
Okay.
Jackie. Nate. Chuck.
19.
Okay, those opposed? Jackie, did you get the center?
Did.
You got it down?
72, 4, and 5 opposed.
72 for, 5 opposed. Motion carries. Last project. Erosion intervention. And this, Tom and I have been kind of working on this. And Tom can explain it a little bit, but this is a picture of the delta, okay? And everybody knows it by the sandbar. And as Tom has said, there is a high volume of sand each year. And this is not going to go away simply because you have moving water and then you have stationary water. Anything that's in the moving water is going to settle out of the stationary water. Now, we're asking a bit of, to extend our influence outside the lake because, number one, we have to deal with the effects of it. And if you're upstream, you don't have, if you live on the river between here and Colfax, you don't have to deal with the problem. We do. And so for that reason, we are asking to become more involved in the intervention of the erosion. My wife and I took a canoe trip last week down the Red Cedar from Colfax to Tainter. And this is a picture just below the Colfax wastewater treatment where they have riprap a segment of the river. You can see what it looked like. This is the next property. After that property, you can see the sandbank that is continuing to contribute. All along there, there's over 45. I can never remember if it's 53 or 60 different sites, what they've identified in 2015 as erosion sites. But let's put it this way, there were so many, I stopped taking pictures of them after about 2 or 3, simply because they didn't change much. The other thing is, we saw at least 2 eagles and 1 eagle nest on the trip, and I thought that was good. But you wind up with erosion sites like this. This is fairly common. The smaller ones may be about 4 or 5 feet high. This one's about 6 feet. Here's the one, here's the main culprit that Tom's group is working on. This is the one across from Dobbs Landing, the one that he said between 30 and 40 feet high. And it's on the outside of a curb, and the water goes by it, and it's one of the main contributors to this, to the erosion and to the addition of sand and silt into the river. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Al did a great job of explaining about the erosion that is taking place on the Red Cedar. As he said, this is not going away, and it doesn't affect everyone, and it's out of the Lake District, but it affects a lot of homes on the Big Lake near the delta of Tainter and the Red Cedar. So we're asking for $3,000 to help with the costs of an engineering study that will move this project forward. Once we can get past the engineering on this project, we can start working on the much larger problem of securing funds to do the work. The good news is the landowner is willing to do some cost sharing. I'm not exactly sure if he understands just how high the costs will be on this project, but that's always good news when someone is willing to cost share. I have worked with the county and the DNR on this project, and when I started this, Al asked me to keep kind of a diary of the number of meetings and who I met with, etc. And to date, I've been involved in 18 meetings working on the erosion on the Red Cedar River. So you can see there's a lot that goes into this problem, and there's a lot of other projects that kind of hinge on us getting started on this one. The erosion, the sand and dirt and everything that comes down the river, what happens to those granules of sand is phosphorus actually attaches to them, and it brings it down into the river. So it's kind of a double whammy. So that's the project. We'd like to get started next year, and I think with this $3,000 helper towards the engineering studies, we can make that happen.
The other thing too is we want to go to these meetings with some resources. We have a landowner that's willing to do some stuff, but he isn't going to do it all by himself. And instead of just wanting for people to do things, we wanted to be able to go with a small amount of money to be able to contribute to the project and to create incentive. So that's our position on that. So with that, is there a motion?
All motion that Tom gave you.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? It's a motion to approve the project, right? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Nick, but just so that you know, I'm not doing this when it's flicking on and off. It's doing something weird here, but,
Who made the second?
Nick, Mayor.
Thank you.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Okay, seeing no. Oh. There's one here.
You made all of the Jerry left N777154 to 0 Street. You made the argument here that the sediment is caused and is a problem from upstream outside of our district. I don't understand why we should be paying for someone else's problem. In this case, we have put riprap on the shore by our home, and it's done a very nice job, thank you. But going out, realistically, the lake is dying. That's natural, that's normal. It will fill up over time. The only way to avoid that is to take out 2 dams. One in Cedar Falls and one in Menominee. So you go back to a free-flowing river. There are some side effects for that, unfortunately, like additional costs of electricity and all the rest. So trying to control it is almost a fool's game, but we have to keep trying. At least we think we do. My problem is, why should this district, why should we be paying for someone's problem upstream who is not taking care of their own stuff? Isn't this where the DNR, the state of Wisconsin, and other elected officials should be taking care of the game on our behalf?
I totally agree. And you can see how well they've done so far.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Would anybody else like to voice an opinion?
Chad Bartlett, E64, 69836th Avenue. I'm assuming that this erosion control engineering study then leads to the dredging type of thing, right? So we got to take care of the problem so we can take care of the delta.
Our approach has been, there's 3 components. Number 1 is to start minimizing the amount of sand flowing in. The second piece would be to figure out, because you can't eliminate it all, so you're going to have to do some sort of trapping to make a trap to catch the sand that you do have. And then the third part would be to actually start to dredge. And so this is the first step of the first part of that whole process.
So would there be discussion then maybe with like an Army Corps of Engineers, weight dams, wave dams, I think they could do in Mississippi, and
We would hope that we would hope that this project would be kind of the template for other projects along that way, but we can't get beyond the DNR and the Army Corps of Engineering won't do anything unless there's a study.
for sure, yep. I
And
agree.
so that's why we're contributing to that. And
You just talked about the study, and I think it's great, you need to have some money, I didn't know if the folks maybe knew what the next steps were. This is the first step, step 2, step 3, and this is what we're hoping to gain by doing these studies.
Right.
You just didn't address that,
Oh,
so
I'm
maybe.
sorry.
No, it's all right, and maybe they assume, I guess I asked that question.
Yeah, I'd make a plug for people that if you're interested, if you live on the north end of the lake, I'd contact Tom and get involved with it because the complexity of this thing is astronomical. And the latest piece that we also found out is that north end of the lake is also in the ceded territories. And so we not only have the DNR, the Army Corps of Engineering, Xcel Energy and everything else, and we also have to deal with the Native Americans and their opinions of what has to take place up there. So it's really complex, and I'm in my 70s, and I hope to have a finger hole by the time I croak. I mean, that's...
I hope it goes faster than that. What engineering firm are you considering to work with?
It's up to the landowner, isn't it?
Well, the county, thank you. The county has an engineer that they are comfortable working with, and I'm sorry the name escapes me right now, Chad, but I can get that to you.
No, it's all right, I'm just curious if you knew.
There is an engineering firm that has done like work, what would be east of Downsville. They had to do much the same process there. The county's comfortable working with them, so they would like to get them hired to do this work as well. And it's a local engineering firm.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm assuming like Lake Altoona probably had some things that they've done on their dredging, and they probably had to do some erosion stuff, and so you probably are receiving some feedback on that.
Yes. Thank you, Chad.
This is really a great facility, but they only give us 2 mics, which gets to be kind of problematic. Is there any other discussion? Thank you for your comments. If there's no other discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor, signify by holding your cards up. We have the numbers. Chuck?
22.
All those opposed?
Two. 77 for,
70
opposed.
77 for, 2 opposed. Motion carries. Now, the consideration of the budget, the biggest components of the budget were approved. And this is exactly what we sent to you. And you can compare the costs, like Grant said, most of our costs we kept it under budget. And Kurt, you'll notice that there is money in it this year for an audit, okay? Some people have asked me, well, why wasn't the slow no wait ordinance as a project as opposed to the budget? Well, last year we didn't know if we had to get the money to assume the slow no wait responsibility because there's buoys and taking them in and putting them out. Well, it's no longer a project anymore. It's a part of our operation because we're responsible for the ordinance and its maintenance. So you will see that as you go down this list, there is actually a line item with the slow no wait, and you have the 3 projects, and for a total proposed budget of $66,343.20. That is the budget. That's the summary. The levy will be $66,343.20. You can see here that we're anticipating, I mean, how do you anticipate what you're going to get for donations? So that is $6,000. There's a carryover balance of what's in our checking account through donations of $13,000. The total revenues is $85,597.81. So that's basically the revenue and the expenditures. If you look at the operational costs, it's all included in it. So that's the budget. So do I have a motion to approve the budget or disapprove the budget?
Tom Johnson, motion approved.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Did you get that?
Was it?
The second was who?
Danny, Oswald.
Okay. Okay. There's been a motion and a second for the budget. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Oh.
Doug Gaten, E61, 59819th Avenue. It's kind of a small thing, but what constitutes $3,200 of maintenance on that snow away? You've got boys out there now,
I got it now.
and you've added boys.
There's a cost for taking them out each year, storing them and putting them back in each year. And then we have in the budget replacing 2 of them. The current ones are, I think, 18 years old and they are in bad condition. So we're slowly replacing them each year.
Okay, thank you. So carryover cash balance, there's no delineation on where those funds came from. I mean, is that all, any of that left over from like tax levy or projects? I mean,
Yes.
so anything that's left over from projects or tax levies should be carried over to reduce the amount of future tax levy and identified or transferred over to future projects, like transferred over to like the future cutting and things like that. Where would that show up here? So that number, carryover cash balance, should be reduced and then added to like the weed cutting or reduce the proposed tax levy so that it doesn't just show up as a carryover in cash balance, so that we can just use that money in any way that we see fit. Because that's how it's supposed to be. You can't just inadvertently throw it into cash and carry it over and put it wherever you want. So if it's left over from a project, it should be put towards a future project.
Right.
And if it's left over from the tax levy, then it should be applied to the future tax levy.
Right. We're allowed to take and carry over. Our carryover amount is determined at, what do we say, 10%? It's 10% of the average of the last 3 years' budget to be able to do exactly what you're saying.
Right, but that's not reflected up here. So to us, it just looks like, okay, we're gonna keep that as cash so that we can do as we see fit, but that's not in fact what's happening.
No.
But that's deceptive to us because we don't get a true picture of what's going on.
This is the format that we're required to report for the annual meeting. And this is the required format that we send out to everybody. Now, if you want to get more detail, then what I would suggest is that you either come to a meeting or talk to Grant or the treasurer, and then they can walk you through there's obviously more accounting detail beyond this, but for the purposes of this meeting, you can certainly do that.
Maybe when we get a professional firm, we'll get a greater detailed explanation.
You get the same things. This is the format that we have to report. And so if you want a more detailed accounting, contact Grant, and he'll sit down with you and go through everything and where everything is.
Perfect.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? Okay, we'll vote. There's been a motion and a second to approve the budget for the, it would be 2025-26 year. All those in favor, raise your pink cards. Okay, you can put your arms down now.
$69,400.
Opposed?
Zero.
The count was what, Tom?
69,400 and 0 opposed.
69-4, 0 opposed for the budget. The last vote is the tax levy. Just a couple of things. It's 41 cents per 100,000 is what that 66,000. 343.20, what that represents. An interesting thing that I noted, now remember, this is estimated, okay? Because if your townships are going through reassessing or whatever, or the rules for the budget change, this could change. But as of the January total, The total district evaluation is 161,187,000, and that equates to a 41% or 41 cent per thousand mill rate. And so you can see what the impact of that was. The last time I did it, the average property value, that's the assessed property value on your taxes now. Not what you sell your house for, but what you're taxed at, was around 250. Okay, so that was what the average property value was on the, obviously, that's average. Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the tax levy, $66,343.20 to fund the budget that you just approved.
Make a motion.
There's a motion by Jim, second. Second by Grant to approve the tax levy. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by
Jackie? Pardon me? 74.
opposed.
And 0 opposed.
74 approved, 0 opposed. Motion carries. The last thing is, next annual meeting.
Nope, got one more thing.
What?
One more thing.
You do?
Yep, gotta announce the election, right? Office
Oh,
election.
yeah, you got it. Announce the election.
Okay, the end of
Here.
election, thank you. The election results are as followed. Grant Pleisig, 79 votes. Chuck Tack, 75 votes. Joe Campbell, 1. Tim Maves, 1. Ed LaVenture, 2. Bill Ryder, 2. It looks like both Grant and Chuck will retain their commissioner status.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next meeting, next meeting, the 26th is August 1st, 9 o'clock. Did 9 o'clock work okay for everybody? Yeah. I know Pete was here, he has to get up awful early, but I can always guarantee you that it's going to be a beautiful day, the day that we have this, okay? So most people want to get out on the lake. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved by Marty. Is that you back there?
Julie.
Julie. Okay. Is there a second? Okay. There's been a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nobody wants to stay? Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.